Sardis. We have the plumber, Josh Cohen, back at our studios in Columbia. We got a great show coming up for you tonight, beginning. A lot of baseball talk tonight. We'll have our American Legion report coming up at about 6:20 with Chris Dorsey. American Legion baseball, very hot, along with the weather in South Carolina. But American Legion baseball, the hot weather is something they can tolerate. All the rain has been, of course, a problem and thrown them behind in some areas with their schedule. But things seem to be catching up now as we see a lot of league games being played all across the state. We'll talk with Chris Dorsey about that coming up in a little bit. At 6:35, Clemson baseball coach Eric Bakich, he joins us to recap the season for the Tigers. Another disappointing ending to the season for Clemson. With high hopes of going to Omaha, they came up 2 steps short this time around. Didn't get to the super regional round, had to settle for hosting a regional, losing at home, and then watching everything from there. So we'll get his take on the season and look ahead to 2026. 7:05, one of the all-time greats at South Carolina, Kip Balknight, will join us. Of course, yesterday he was selected for the College Baseball Hall of Fame. And so we'll talk with him about his illustrious career at South Carolina, what he meant to the Gamecocks and what playing for South Carolina meant to him. 7:35, of course, our Tuesday night NASCAR session with Josh Harris, the president of Darlington. So we have a jam-packed show. And, of course, it's hot in recruiting as we head towards the 1st of July. And we have announcements coming up later this week, announcements set for next week. A lot of predictions being made by the recruiting experts on the recruiting networks. We'll talk about that in our recruiting report coming up. Lots of other major news for you tonight as well, including late word this afternoon that, speaking of all-time South Carolina greats, Whit Merrifield is retiring from baseball after 9 seasons in the majors. He made that announcement today. Royals, Blue Jays, Phillies, and Braves, an all-star in 19, 21, and 23. Led the majors in hits in back-to-back seasons of 18 and 19. He too goes down as one of the all-time South Carolina greats and should have that number at South Carolina put up on that wall in the outfield. They don't have a whole bunch out there. They've got Kip Balknights. They have Ray Tanners. They could probably add Whit Merrifield out there, and everybody would applaud that as Chris Bergen joins us from the Berge Palace. Whit Merrifield was, of course, his dad was a great player, and he came to South Carolina. Was he going to be an outfielder? Was he going to be an infielder? What was he going to do? He just turned out to be a complete all-around player and played a huge role in that success when the Gamecocks won those national championships.
Probably the most famous hit in USC baseball history, don't you think?
I would say so.
Base hit to beat UCLA in 2010.
I would say so.
I can't think of many that are more important. Christian Walker's home run in the Super Regionals against Coastal probably stacks up there, but it didn't carry quite the weight that Merrifield's base hit against UCLA did. I'm like you. I think they can start retiring a lot of jerseys out there. Merrifield probably should be next on the list to end up on the wall out there. So be curious to hear Kip Balknight's thoughts about that when he joins us a little bit later on.
Yeah, absolutely. Gamecocks picked up a commitment on the baseball front today out of the transfer portal, John, a story that you put up on the website. Tell us about the guy.
Luke Uhas of the University of Louisiana. Actually was a member of the Sun Belt All-Tournament team this year. Didn't play all their games this year. I think he got hurt, maybe a shoulder injury in the middle of May, but evidently a pretty good player. Batted .320 for the Raging Cajuns, 6 home runs, 26 RBIs. Older guy. He's a junior now, so he'll be coming in, I'm assuming, as a senior, rising senior going into next year. So adding some experience and also, it appears, a pretty popular bat to that outfield. So another one, I think, like the 4th or 5th guy that they've gotten out of the transfer portal that's an outfielder. So Paul Maneri, got to give him credit for one thing, Gamecock fans who didn't like the first season. He is certainly not sitting back and just saying, well, woe is me. They've gone out and attacked the transfer portal. Now the question is, are these guys the ones that they need to fill the holes that they have?
Well, you would hope so. You would hope that they've done their due diligence and they've studied these guys and not just going off of reputation or off of statistics. And
Right.
they have a good feel for who they're bringing in. These, you're going to get an older guy. You're going to get a guy who has gone through at least one season in some fashion of college baseball. Some of these guys, most of these guys have played a good bit. Some of them haven't played a whole lot. And so they're going to get their first real chance to break into a lineup and contribute and compete at South Carolina. And same thing at Clemson with the transfers that they have taken. When you look at the transfers South Carolina has taken, not counting the junior college transfers, just talking about out of the portal, John, they have taken right-hander Josh Gregory from ULM, infielder Logan Sutter from Purdue, right-hander Cullen Horowitz from Samford, right-hander Amp Phillips from Upstate, right-hander Elijah Foster from Sacred Heart, infielder Eric Parker from Georgia, right-hander Josh Gunther from Wake Forest, outfielder Tyler Back from Wofford, and outfielder Ethan Lizama from Western Kentucky, and now another outfielder coming in from Louisiana. So they have not been bashful about going into the transfer portal, John. In today's world, it's really the quickest way to rebuild your program.
And not ashamed to go in and grab Sunbelt players either. He'll be the second one, joining the kid from ULM. And Phil, I think if you want a reference point, I mean, LSU is not ashamed to go into the transfer portal either. They retooled their team and got a bunch of their key contributors off this year's national championship squad from the transfer portal. So it not only can it be done to rebuild a program that is struggling, it can also be done to to bolster a program that doesn't need a whole lot of help and just enough to get to the College World Series and then win it all. So, I mean, LSU is sort of laying out the blueprint that, hey, we can recruit high school kids, but we can also go get guys that we need to fill the very few holes that we have on our team.
I want to say this off the top of the show to go ahead and get it off my mind because I've been thinking about it during the day. So it's coming up. Of course, we got a lot of guys who are going to be announcing commitments in the coming days and weeks. And so the national analysts are going on their networks and they are giving their projections, which is absolutely fine. I mean, that's part of the fun of the recruiting game. I used to do that, 30 years ago. I would issue a prediction on where a guy was going to go. The difference between me back then and these people today is this. When I made a prediction back then, based on my knowledge and my best information, I stuck with it. I lived with it. I didn't have a so-called crystal ball or something called an RPM machine that On3 Rivals uses. No, I made a prediction. If I was right, I felt like the smartest guy in the room. If I was wrong, I had to eat it and take the abuse. My two biggest misses, and I had quite a few misses because it's inexact science. I had quite a few right, but my two biggest misses probably Tommy Frazier, who I thought was going to Clemson, based off a conversation with his sister. Okay, I thought I was pretty close,
What
but obviously,
changed?
I don't know. But and then the other one was running back from Georgia, kind of followed Herschel. He was from the state of Georgia. He was a really good running back. I thought he was going to South Carolina. He ended up going to Georgia. So I predicted those things. My point is, and I'm challenging, not that they listen to me, I'm challenging these people. You know what they do? They make a prediction, and then when they get the information that they're wrong, they'll make a new projection or a new prediction. And I'm like, where's the fun in that? Where's the challenge in that? Is it the desire to be right all the time from an ego standpoint to kind of prove that you're the best recruiting analyst in America because you've nailed? No, you should be limited to one prediction. That's why I like what Paul Strelo does so much at Tiger Illustrated. When he makes a Tiger Illustrated projection on a Clemson player, on a prospect that Clemson is recruiting, he does so with the full knowledge, based on all of his sources, that the guy is going to Clemson, or he wouldn't make the projection. I can only remember maybe one I know he had projected Zion Williamson to Clemson, and that obviously turned out to be Duke, and there might have been a football player in there as well. But my point is, there was no flip-flopping. He made the projection, he stuck with it. I made a prediction, I stuck with it. These guys today, they make a projection. As soon as they find out the guy is going somewhere else, what do? New projection. You can't do that. I challenge these people. If you make a projection on where, like, Samari Matthews on 3 is being projected to go to Texas, all right? However, the Big Spur, their people are projecting him to go to South Carolina. Somebody's wrong. So I want to see who's going to stick with their projection and take the L when that time comes, I mean, I'm just having a little fun here, but I'm just trying to point out how wishy-washy the networks have become. They are with their so-called projection machines, so I'm just saying, man. If you make a projection, that's why I really don't do it anymore. I don't do it anymore because when I would make a prediction, I wanted it to be right. I wanted to be the smartest guy in the room, and I wanted it to be right, which means I carried a lot of weight on my shoulders until the guy made a commitment. And if I was right, it was like, see, I told you. I could go back and say, as you heard here. And when I was wrong, I had to go back and eat that. I don't want to go through that anymore. So I kind of stay away from doing that. I might say it looks good for somebody, but I'm staying away from absolutes because really in today's recruiting world, with it being so transactionary, it could look like a guy's going to go to school A, and then here comes school B with a big pile of money, and all of a sudden he's turned around and he's going to school B. And it can happen a day before he's going to announce. But I challenge these people, stick with it. Don't be flip-flopping. Live with your one prediction and be a man or be a woman about it and own it. And if you lose, take the L.
See, and I admire you for saying that because I think you're right. But the difference in the way you used to do it and now is I know people that still remember you got Tommy Frazier wrong. I know that one bothers you. Always has.
It has.
Because I know people remind you of that every now and then. But people remember your predictions because you only gave one. And you stuck with it. And if it was a high-profile player, i.e. Tommy Frazier, you're going to, if you had gotten it right, everybody would remember. Well, Corn was the one who said he was going to Clemson. Instead, he ended up going to Nebraska. Here, though, because the Internet not only remembers things, but the Internet also quickly forgets. Nobody is going to remember if Samari Matthews ends up going to South Carolina that on 3 predicted initially that he was going to Texas because they will have changed it in time to make sure they look correct this go-round. So you never had the magic eraser that these guys do now.
Good point. I challenge them. One prediction only. Be a man, be a woman, stick with it, and see how smart you are. We're going to run to the break. We're going to get to our American Legion report in just a moment. Find out what's going on with American Legion baseball all across the state of South Carolina. Coach Chris Dorsey will be joining us. 6:35, it'll be Coach Eric Bakich from Clemson. 7:05, Kip Balknight. 7:35, Josh Harris. Lots of other news notes. We got recruiting as well. I think it's a pretty doggone great show for you tonight, and I'm predicting that. Back in a moment.
I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Whether it's becoming a teacher, dentist, or engineer, every child deserves the chance to chase their dreams. Investing in a child's education with Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 College Savings Plan, can help turn those big dreams into next steps. So don't wait. You can start with any amount. Contributions are tax deductible and earnings grow tax-free. Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's Corbett. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Stay tuned. More Sports Talk is coming up on the Sports Talk Media Network.
The lottery is not about getting rich. It's about helping people, and it always has been. The lottery is what helped raise the Great Wall of China, build the roads of Rome, and today in South Carolina, it's what generates millions of dollars each year for scholarships like the SC Hope, Life, and Palmetto Fellows. The South Carolina Education Lottery is investing in you. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou to learn more.
Okay, time to get to the American Legion rundown tonight with Chris Dorsey, presented by the Big Red Box Dumpster Company. Of course, Chris launched American Legion Baseball at Richland Post 215 in 2022 after a 10-year absence, played college baseball at Aiken under Gary Gilmore in the Mets organization for 3 seasons, head coach of the senior team, oversees 6 teams as the organization's GM. And, of course, the Red Box Dumpster Company presents this rundown. Big Red Box containers have convenient swinging doors on the back for easy loading. Make your dumpster rental simple by calling Big Red Box at 803-783-6834 or just Google Big Red Box Dumpster Company. Welcome in, Chris. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Great intro. I appreciate that.
Oh, listen, man, we appreciate you taking time out to be with us as we work our way through this summer. And hopefully the weather has cooperated. You've maybe caught up on some of these league games. As I check the standings, I'm seeing a couple of 4-0s out there in league play in the senior division. Somerville post 21 and West Columbia post 79.
Yeah, so Somerville post 21, I mean, you know, I didn't know a whole lot about those guys, and I went and looked at the rosters, basically made up of a lot of Somerville guys, Stratford and Pinewood Prep guys, along with Fort Dorchester. So they've got a nice team over there. And Orangeburg Post 4 is, which was in our league last year. I know a lot of those players, so they're battling those guys tough, and that's in League 1. So I don't know much about Moncks Corner or Walterboro Post, but looks like Somerville's got a good team.
And, of course, this Florence Post 1, that's Coach Urquhart's team, is it not?
That's correct. Like I've said before, I mean, if it wasn't for Coach Derek Urquhart, I wouldn't be in this, doing this. He was kind of one of the guys that inspired me to do it. What they've done in their program is basically carried Legion for many, many years, and we're trying to play catch up on them. And he is the definition of a rising tide lifts all boats. They actually, how about this, guys? They went in this week or last week and beat the Florence Flamingos. A Legion team beat a college team. That's pretty special.
That is special, and they're right in there with Sumter Post 15. I mean, that's going to be a real battle all summer long between those two clubs.
That will. I mean, Sumter Post 15, coached by Randy Twitty. He is a ex-high school coach. A lot of guys don't play small ball in Legion. He is total high school baseball. You know, bunts every time he has a chance. I mean, he's a thorn in your side to play him. His teams are always good, well coached, and make every play. Pitchers throw strikes. We played them our first game of the season, and they beat us 3-2. And, you know, they're not like extremely super talented like a Florence Post 1 is, or a Camden can be, or even a Fort Mill. But they're just very well coached. They're going to battle. And I tell you, Horry Legion Baseball and Manning Santee are good teams too. Horry is they've lost a lot of one-run games. I mean, I mean, their record doesn't indicate, how good they are. I like that. That league too is very strong.
All right, let's take a look at the other league leaders. You got West Columbia post 79, as I mentioned, is 4-0. Camden post 17 is 4-1. Greer post 115 is 2-1. This is all in league play. And Greenwood post 20, 5-1. How about those teams?
Yeah, well, let's go back to League 3 where West Columbia is 4-0. That's our league, and we're 4-1. And Lexington's 3-3, Winsboro's 0-3, and a surprise, Chapin Newberry, who we played. I thought they had a really good team. They have Caden Reeves as their catcher, who's probably the best catcher in the state. They're a good team. They just haven't played real well to start the season. But West Columbia is, Phil, I'm from Columbia, and graduated high school many years ago. But if you look out at the demographics of that team, it's basically the same team that I played against, and the same type of mentality, tough. Just, they don't care about pitch count. I mean, it's just win, win, win over there. Really respect the West Columbia squad. We've got a really good team, too. Like I said, we're 4-1 in second place right now. We played Lexington post 7 last week, and they got a really good team. They've got the Burton boys from Florence Darlington that went to the World Series. And, they had Kite Kisner, who was pitching, was a all-state pitcher from Lexington. And then Dalton Taylor, who beat us on Wednesday of last week. He was the 4A pitcher of the year from Gilbert, left-handed pitcher, very good player. And so that's kind of the shakedown on League 3. Camden in League 4, Camden post 17 is super strong. I mean, they get basically all the players from Camden, Blythewood, and Lugoff Elgin. They're a real thorn in my side, especially recruiting-wise. If you can probably see it. The Camden coach and I, it's like Tim Whipple told me about Bailey Harris one day. He said, you don't always have to like your rivals. So Fort Mill is really good. Camden's leading that 4-1. Fort Mill's awesome. I really like Tom Sculla up there. He does a great job with Fort Mill post 43. Rock Hill's always solid. And Lancaster is on the bottom right there at 1-6. But again, they've been in a lot of games. I mean, they lost by 1 run to Camden last night. So it's very evenly matched in that league. If you want to go to League 5, Greer, which is one of my favorite stadiums, they just did a $1 million renovation at that stadium downtown Greer where they play. I really like that place. Inman's coached by a legendary coach, has been there for like 50 years. They're always good. Chesney, don't sleep on those guys. Buffalo's kind of retooled with some rezoning and gotten stronger. And then Spartanburg, surprisingly, who gets Dorman and Bull, all those good schools up there, they're 1-5.
And how about that Greenwood team in League 6?
Yep, League 6. So Greenwood, we've always played them every single year. Matter of fact, they knocked us out of the state championship in 2022. Just a really good, kind of cyclical for them. They were down last year, but they're obviously really good this year. Easily post 52. They have a young coach up there that's really put a lot of life into that program, raised a lot of money, done a really good job. They're 4-3. Don't sleep on those guys either. Greenville is got a lot of talent from that, the Greenville area. They're going to be really good. Anderson's, got the T.L. Hannas of the world. They're solid. And then the Golden Strip is basically made up of like Lawrence and Hillcrest and Fountain Inn. So they're 0-4, but they were pretty good last year. So that's a strong league.
We thank you as always. Have a good week on the diamond. The competition is heating up, and we'll keep a close watch on these races and talk more about everything with you next week.
Looking forward to it. You'll have a great night.
You too. Thank you very much. That is Chris Dorsey, our American Legion Roundup, here on Sports Talk, brought to you by Big Red Box Containers. Eric Bakich coming up after the break.
Point weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Well, we're not cooling down too much this evening. The low temperature only dipping to 76. Tomorrow we hit 98 as the high. We have a 40% chance of an afternoon thunderstorm. Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend, a little bit cooler. High temperatures of 94 through Sunday. I'm Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
Hey y'all, it's Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We're introducing our new healthy gluten-free menu. For your choices, we offer charbroiled certified Angus ribeye steak, juicy marinated grilled chicken dinner, fresh grilled salmon, authentic Greek salad, hamburger steak with grilled onions and melted cheese, shish kebab with grilled chicken, veggie blue plate with a choice of 4 vegetable selections, spring chicken salad, and of course, our famous slow-roasted pot roast. Come and enjoy a healthy gluten-free menu at Flight Deck Restaurant. We at Flight Deck Restaurant, thank you, and God bless.
Trump talk with SRN News. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. An intense and nearly historic weather pattern is cooking much of America in a dangerous heat dome this week, with triple-digit heat that hasn't been seen in some places in more than a decade. The heat wave is especially threatening because it's hitting cities like Boston, New York, and Philadelphia with near-record temperatures, and doing so very early in the summer. A fragile ceasefire between Iran and Israel appears to be holding Tuesday after initially faltering, and President Trump expressed frustration with both sides, saying they had fought for so long and so hard that they didn't know what they were doing. Trump told reporters at the White House before departing for a NATO summit that in his view, both sides have violated the nascent agreement. More details at srnnews.com.
Lots of plumbing companies out there. Few are truly local. Time to discover the difference with Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. See, when I faced plumbing woes at the Cohen home, Josh and his dedicated team, well, they were my go-to solution. They make a commitment to exceptional service. They arrived on time, clearly detailed all the costs and procedures, and efficiently handled all my repairs without any surprises. These days, how often do we complain about a lack of customer service out there? With Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning, these folks are professional. They're courteous. They're skilled at what they do, and they've earned my trust, and they've earned my recommendation to you. From urgent repairs to the tankless water heater you've always wanted, they've got you covered. Visit franklinplumbing.sc.com or call 799-2222. That's 799-2222. Hey, you tell them Kev sent you from The Point. I'm pretty sure you'll want to thank me later.
Are you ready to have a boatload of fun this spring? Sail on down to your local Palmetto State Armory store and deck yourself out in our new lifestyle t-shirts, hats, and fishing shirts. Seize the day with brands like Hey Dudes, Costa, Turtle Box, Local Boy, and more. Our selection of rifles, pistols, and shotguns is sure to impress. So don't be left fishing for something to wear once the warmer weather has arrived. Check out one of our 9 retail locations or PalmettoStateArmory.com to outfit your next adventure.
Life is not a straight line. No matter how hard you try to stick to the path, sometimes you have to take a detour. Miss a turn or maybe even start over. Relax, we get it. Life happens, and your credit score shouldn't define your future. That's why Founders offers opportunity so you can pursue your financial goals. Not just for people with perfect credit scores, but for real people with real stories. At Founders, we know how to look beyond the credit score by listening, understanding, and believing in people and second chances. Because here, you're more than a number. You're a parent, a student, a dreamer, a doer whose story is still being written. When you're ready to pursue your next financial goal, stop by a Founders Federal Credit Union near you or visit foundersfcu.com/loans to see how we can build your next chapter together. Terms and conditions apply. Membership qualification required. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life with Spa MD, your sanctuary of rejuvenation. Feel the tension melt away as our expert team guides you through your customized wellness journey. From soothing massages to revitalizing treatments, we promise a remarkable experience that leaves you feeling renewed and empowered. Discover the calm within every visit. Reach out at 251-9400 or online at visitspamd.com to explore your options. Your oasis of tranquility awaits.
Back we are on Sports Talk Media Network on this Tuesday night here in South Carolina. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, and the plumber Josh Cohen back in Columbia. A lot of baseball talk on the show tonight. Kip Balk night coming up at 7:05. We're also going to have Chris Benson with us. We have made contact through Brian Hennessy at Clemson, does a fantastic job about having Chris Benson with us, and Chris has agreed to do so. I've just got to set up a day and time this week for him to join us. He's another one going into that College Baseball Hall of Fame, and deservedly so. So we continue with a lot of baseball talk right here and right now on Sports Talk as we visit for the first time since the end of the season with Clemson coach Eric Bakich. And first of all, great to have you with us, and welcome into the program. How are you?
Hey Phil, how you doing? You just summarized the formula for success right there. You go get Chris Benson and Kip Bachnight to be on your pitching staff.
Could you win a World Series with those two guys on your pitching staff?
It certainly helps your chances, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I hope things are going well for you in the off season. I know that it started no doubt earlier than you wanted it to, and you've been active in the portal and bringing in new players, and obviously talking with players on your team, trying to keep some of those guys at home. Just summarize for us, if you would, what it's been like for you since the end of the regional to where you stand today.
It's been awesome. Actually, it's exhilarating. It's you're anytime you have a season that ends in extreme disappointment, it immediately just fuels what needs to improve, what needs to change, what are the areas where we just need to be better. And so it's just given us a full ability to not only observe the teams that are playing at the end and the talent gap that we felt like we could improve, and then just maybe what are the ways we can not only improve the talent but develop better and give ourselves the best chance for success. So it's been a lot of fun just to keep getting better and keep improving, and we fully are aware that we took a step back in the month of June, and that's all that really matters, and we had nothing to hang our hat on for in terms of success this season. We didn't do anything that will be remembered. We might have had some wins, but who cares? And so for us, it's just we are heads down. We're just instead of talking about it, we're going to be about it. And I've just been, and our coaching staff has been on an absolute mission to find some high impact dudes. And we're still looking, still trying to find one or two more pitchers that would be adding to the top, just some premium stuff type pitchers. So for all the pitchers that are listening, that are either in the portal or about to go in the portal, Clemson is looking, and we want an absolute dude. And that's so we're talking to a bunch of good ones, and we're going up against the who's who of the SEC for, it seems like, all these guys, plus Florida State. It's like we're all recruiting the same people.
Yeah.
So it's, we know we're hovering over the target with who we're going after and the schools that are in the mix.
So in your analysis of this team and trying to improve for next year, more big arms. I mean, you said after the end of the season in your press conference after your last game, I think you said something about, just needing more power arms. How deep of a staff do you look at LSU and see the depth of that staff, or maybe Coastal Carolina and the depth of that starting pitching? Is that kind of what you have to build for at Clemson in this offseason to find the depth of those kind of arms? Is that possible?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. That's the beauty of the portal is you can fill some immediate holes and plug some immediate gaps right away. And so bringing in some guys that do have that premium stuff to replace a Reed Garrison, a Lucas Malstad, and maybe even upgrade on the back end and, add another starting pitcher, even though we have a lot of quality starters coming back. It just, there's no downside to having, nobody says, man, we got too many good pitchers. So having a quality depth on the pitching staff, top to bottom, is going to be very important. And part of it is developing the kids that we have, and part of it is bringing in some extremely talented kids to add to the top.
Yeah. Well, as I look at what you've done so far in the portal, looks like I've got you with 6 commitments at this point. Are you allowed to talk about transfers, committed transfers? Have they actually signed? How does that work? Do you know how that works?
Yeah, they've all been sent their financial aid agreements. Some of them have signed, some of them haven't. We actually have 7, and they're all high impact type guys. There's nobody that's coming in that is bringing in just to be kind of a middle depth kind of guy. And then we're still looking for more. And then it also depends on if we have any departures to the portal on our current team. And it seems like there is movement, and guys are, still family decisions being made, and that's across all of college baseball as the deadline approaches to enter into the portal. So, our needs could shift again, but we're certainly not gonna get caught by surprise. And we have in our war room in the office, we've got a loaded board with a lot of names, and we're on the phone with a lot of kids every day, all day, and there's a lot of new entries every minute, it seems like. And the ones that kind of hit our metrics in terms of the stuff we're looking for and those explosive bodies I was referring to at the end of the season, we're jumping on those guys right away.
All right, so I've got VC, Lichtenberger, Daly, Clavon, Weidman, and Savoy. Who am I missing?
I don't know, Phil. You have to do better research, pal.
See, Phil, earlier when Coach went through that long explanation, he was trying to tell us, I can't talk about the guys who are on campus yet until they've signed everything.
Yeah, I understand. Can you talk about Weidman, or can you talk about Lichtenberger at least? Those are you allowed to talk about those two?
I don't know. I don't think so, but those are a couple of guys that were very impressive last year in college baseball. So, they would certainly be great additions to the Clemson Tigers if they show up, for sure.
Yeah, you still have to worry about the draft with those guys, right? That's the other thing. Some of these guys are going to be drafted.
With Tom Weidman's son, former Clemson basketball great. Yeah, his son is a hell of a high draft pick. So, we're not expecting. Something would have to. We're not expecting that he slips too far in the draft. We're expecting that. For a former alum, for an alum of a great basketball player here, have his son go in the top 5 rounds. Excited for him, and if his kid slipped further than that, then we'd be very happy. So
okay.
I don't know if I can tell. Probably stop asking me about the recruits, Phil. Let's move on.
There's no rules anymore. That's what I'm getting at. There are no rules anymore. Let's just blow it up. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, I was going to say, Eric Bakich, head baseball coach at Clemson, who may be the only person on the planet who understands the current makeup and the rules regarding the NCAA, joining us here tonight on Sports Talk. All right, Coach, I know these guys you can talk about. Let's look at the draft coming up. How many of your current players, do you expect to go into the draft, and where do you maybe see some of those guys, like, say, a Cam Canarella, being slotted into the draft?
I think, Cam will go very high. I think we're expecting Cam to go on day one somewhere, middle to end of the first round to maybe as late as the sandwich round or early second round. But, he's just got a resume that's unique and different, and has done it for 3 straight years, and is just has unique superpowers, especially what he can do defensively, and his bat to ball skills are just put him in a totally different category of talent. So, we're expecting him. We've gotten calls from pro teams that, that pick as high as in the top 10 picks to a lot of them that are kind of picking in the middle of the end of the first round that are, ask a lot of their due diligence questions and character checks and reference checks and all the things. And so, we're expecting him to go very high, and he's certainly very deserving. I think the other guys that will have a chance to go is Jacob Jarrell, Lucas Malstead, and Reed Garris. I think could all hear their name called. And where that is I guess to be determined. But I think all three of those guys have had conversations with professional teams, and some teams have them turned in, and some teams don't. But as we all know, you only need one team to like you the best. So I think those three guys certainly have a chance of getting picked up.
I think Phil and I and anybody who's watched your baseball team just marvel at the athleticism of Cam Cannarella. How much of his is just God-given ability, and how much has been taught and how much has been developed, do you think, throughout his tenure at Clemson? How much better of an outfielder has he gotten over the years, and certainly how much better of a hitter has he gotten since his freshman year on campus?
I think you can attribute Cam Cannarella to just God-given ability and a natural fiery competitive instinct that just allows him to compete at the top of his skill set when the game is on the line. His clutch factor is just totally off the charts, and everybody wants to quantify a clutch number. I don't know if everybody really knows how, but you can certainly see it and feel it when the game is on the line. Cam Cannarella is going to make a big play, and he's going to get a big hit. And that's a unique ability. You try to develop that skill, but he was born with a level of that is just beyond everybody else's. And that's truly one of the things that makes him very special.
We had Chad Holbrook on the program last night. You and he sort of shared something unique. I think you could give us an idea as to what you guys saw from the Coastal Carolina baseball team and the run that they ultimately made all the way to the College World Series Championship Series. When you played them during the midweek, did you see the talent that would allow them to make it as far as they did, ultimately losing to LSU? Or were you surprised at the run they went on?
Not surprised at all. They have the best catcher in all of college baseball, and when you have a catcher like Caden Bodine, he steals so many strikes for his pitching staff. He makes good pitchers great pitchers because of his ability to take the balls that are around the strike zone and get those pitches for the pitchers on the mound. I mean, he elevates the entire pitching staff. He is freakishly good. That's his superpower. And then I thought they did an unbelievable job with their offense of knowing exactly who they were. They're very gritty. They're tough outs. They play team offense. They're a run-scoring offense. They obviously take their hit by pitches. They draw their walks. They move runners up. They knock runners in. And it's just one of those teams that was extremely balanced. And I thought from the both midweek games that we played them that it's no surprise that they went on the run that they did, especially when you have a catcher like that makes every pitcher better.
So, Angel Campos, not a friend of Coastal Carolina and not a friend of Clemson either. Yeah. What did you make of that deal?
Disappointing that, anytime the best umpires, the best officials, the best ones that are in charge of that, they're really good at diffusing situations. And the worst ones are the ones that instigate and antagonize and look for conflict. And when you have an Angel Campos or a Billy Van Rappenhorst or guys that are on the side of looking for conflict, then conflict happens. And then you have some really good umpires that are they're professionals at diffusing a situation, and they know how to manage a situation so it doesn't get to that point. And it's just a shame that had to be part of the narrative of that game. Now, not to take anything away from LSU, but that shouldn't be part of the narrative of the College World Series National Championship.
Agreed. And now they're going to have to deal with suspensions going in the next season, unless those suspensions are somehow lifted. A couple more minutes with Eric Bakich, Clemson baseball coach. I know that throughout the season, especially down the stretch of the season, you really sang the praises of T.P. Wentworth, yet he's moving on. How was that a surprise to you, disappointing to you that he's not going to be back with you?
Yeah, we were caught off guard with that one, disappointed for sure. But TP's a great player, and he's going to be a great player at Oklahoma State, and he'd be a great player no matter where he went. And, I think for him just that was a family decision, a personal decision. But we certainly wish TP and the entire Wentworth family all the best and know he's going to have a hell of a career, and he's extremely talented. We did not want him to go.
Yeah. And how are your baseball program, do you think, how well are you prepared for dealing with the financial side of things now to try to keep players or try to acquire players? You feel like Clemson can be right in there with the very top in college baseball to, let's face it, to throw the dollars where they need to be thrown?
I think Graham Neff, President Clements, the Board of Trustees, they have been all in, whether it be scholarships or rev share or whatever, of just supporting all the athletic teams and in baseball as well, just to be in a position of strength and success. There's always going to be somebody, that has more dollars or more this or more that or a bigger stadium or, once you start comparing and having that wandering eye, it's, never a good recipe for finding any type of happiness with what you got. But we are very, very happy with the commitment that I don't think anyone can look at the way athletics is supported at Clemson and have any arguments. I mean, the leadership, from Graham and President Clements and the Board of Trustees has just been awesome. And I've been at places where it's felt indifferent, and they are totally committed and all in. And I certainly appreciate that, having been at places where you felt the other side of it. And so I'm, very much in that gratitude zone for, feeling like we are equipped to get into that fight. And no, we may not be able to match dollar for dollar with so-and-so in the SEC or whatever, but we feel really good about our chances for success and feel like we're it's not going to be a disadvantage or an excuse by any means, and we're excited about it and excited to launch into this brave new world that we're all going into.
Yeah, crazy new world. Last thing, we'll let you go. How does the schedule look for 26? You have anything at the top like you did last year, anything really big time, really special? Or how will you open the 26 campaign?
Nothing like what we saw last year. I thought that was a really unique, awesome environment and experience to go to a major league stadium, arguably one of the best major league stadiums, and play that level of competition. Obviously, that's not something that's realistic to do every single year, but I think we'll try to do that maybe every other year or something like that, where we go into a big time tournament. But no, I think next year will be a little bit more of a traditional type of season where we could be at home, still actually ironing out a couple of things. We with coaching changes and with model changes in terms of the financial commitments of schools. We've had some cancellations, so we're actually still finalizing the 2026 schedule, specifically week 1. But I can tell you who we're playing week 3. You don't have to worry about that. And so we'll be ready for that one.
Well, I think they know who they'll be playing in week 3 as well. So, and we'll all be looking forward to that. So, hey, we thank you as always. Great talking to you. It was a great season. I mean, like you said, though, it's at your place, with your mindset, with your players. If you don't make it to Omaha, you're coming up short, right? I mean, that's how you're looking at it.
Well, you want to have something to show for the season. So last year, for page 128 in the history book, for team 128, you want to be remembered for something. And we just, we didn't win the ACC regular season, didn't win the ACC tournament, didn't win a regional, and beyond. So you just want to be able to have a championship at a bare minimum. And of course, the ultimate goal is to win the national championship, which for us would be the first time. But you just want you want to be remembered for something, and so we fell short of that, and that's why we are. That's why it's been very encouraging, motivating in this short window since the season has ended to make sure we don't ever feel this way again.
Coach, we thank you so much for being with us. Have a great rest of your summer.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it. Go Tigers.
When I grew up, I want to be a nurse.
I want to be an engineer.
I want to be a teacher.
There's never been a better time to start making their dreams come true. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, makes it easy to save for their future education. Contributions are tax deductible, earnings are tax free, and you can start saving right now with any amount. Go to futurescholar.com today to discover the smart, easy way to save for college. That's futurescholar.com.
Traveling can be the worst, especially when you can't find your favorite show. Well, don't worry. We've got the perfect way to keep up with everything happening in the Palmetto State when you're away from home. Just pull up the Chief Sports app on your mobile device, and you can listen live to Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network.
So the next time you can't find us on one of our great radio affiliates, just log on to the Chief Sports app, the best way to stay connected with the Sports Talk Media Network.
We're with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, let's say I'm out in the woods or I'm on the water and I need to reach a DNR agent. How do I do that?
Operation Game Thief, Phil. It's been around 30-plus years. You can call us at our 24-hour hotline any time of day, 1-800-922-5431. To report wildlife violations or to get help if you're in trouble in the woods or on the water, call us at Operation Game Thief, 1-800-922-5431.
Thanks to Coach Eric Bakich. I tell you one thing about Coach Eric Bakich. No matter what the deal is, high or low, he'll take the questions. He'll look you in the face. He'll give you an answer. That's all you can ask for. That's all you can ask for. We appreciate that very much. Quickly, let's go to Tiger Bryan up in Lancaster. Tiger Bryan, welcome to Sports Talk tonight. How are you?
Man, I heard y'all had an ice box in y'all's office. Y'all told me 64 degrees in there. Y'all got, I don't know, I must have trained him back in the day because I was an air-conditioned man too, you know what I mean?
I don't know where you're getting 64 degrees. I don't know, but it's where I'm at, it's comfortable. I'm sure where Bergey's at, it's comfortable, and I don't see Josh sweating, so he's comfortable.
He said, you make the money, you keep the air running. That's what I heard now.
That's right. Keep that right.
That's right.
You know that.
You know what? Y'all give 100% on everything y'all do. Yeah. I take old Gamecock. It ain't Bill. It's Gamecock Bill. I take him fishing every Saturday. Last Saturday, he caught a 7-pound bass accidentally brim fishing. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I caught 17 to his 6. He talked junk on Facebook. Everybody was calling Tiger Bryan. He done lost his game and all that. You know what? This was past Saturday. You know how many fish he caught?
How many?
7. You know what Tiger Bryan done?
What?
Tiger Bryan took him to school, 32.
Oh, ouch.
Are y'all fishing in the same? Are y'all fishing out of the same boat and everything?
He would have caught 7 cords if I hadn't moved over and said, throw it right there. That's what he bite there.
He must be using crickets and you're using worms. That's the difference.
Hey, he's using my rod.
Oh, well then you've done something to that rod to give you an advantage. All right, thank you, TB. We'll be back.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump's administration has postponed classified briefings for Senate and House members on Tuesday, angering some lawmakers. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says that Congress deserves answers.
What the heck is going on? They are just out of control, violating every precept, every principle, every law, unlike any other administration in American history.
But House Speaker Mike Johnson says that President Trump has the legal right to target Iranian nuclear sites.
The strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities were clearly within President Trump's Article 2 powers as Commander-in-Chief. It shouldn't even be in dispute.
Lawmakers are looking for more answers about Trump's directed strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities over the weekend and his announcement on Monday that the two countries had reached a ceasefire agreement. A life-threatening heat wave has enveloped the East Coast, hitting cities with the worst of the high temperatures on Tuesday before relief moves in later on in the week. National Weather Service meteorologist Bryce Williams says extreme heat can be deadly.
Heat is actually the #1 weather killer in the world. And the most people are injured by heat because it is kind of a sneaky a threat, because most people don't really think of heat as being that dangerous. But when we get these heat waves, a lot of people experience physical ailments that are exacerbated by heat.
This is the first major heat wave of the season, with extreme heat warnings and heat advisories in effect for over 150 million Americans from Texas to Maine, including the entire Interstate 95 corridor. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 507 points, the Nasdaq rose 281, the S&P advanced 67. More at townhall.com.
If you're living with pain, see how Relief Factor can help.
My back got injured very bad. I was off work for about a year. I heard about Relief Factor from my wife. I took it every day, 3 times a day for 3 weeks. Look at her and I said, the pain is gone. And she said, I'm glad it helped. I said, no, you don't understand. It's gone.
Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor. Go to ReliefFactor.com and get your 3-week quick start today. Only $19.95.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Third day. The original members reunited for the 30th anniversary tour, playing all the hits. With special guest Zach Williams. Tickets available Friday at AwakeningFoundation.com. Third day, the 30th anniversary tour.
You just call my name.
An Awakening Foundation event.
A new measure affecting truck drivers starts this week.
President Donald Trump issued an executive order in April saying that commercial truckers who don't read and speak English proficiently would be considered unfit for service.
This is my coolant. This is my sight glass. I will never remove this gap while the engine is hot.
At the Driving Academy School in Linden, New Jersey, Director Bill Faria says some drivers aren't prepared for the measure to go into effect.
They speak English to pass the test, and then after that, they're not required.
I'm Haya Panjwani.
A woman charged in the death of a U.S. Border Patrol agent has appeared in a Vermont federal court in one of multiple criminal cases linked to a cult-like group known as the Zizians. Authorities say Teresa Youngblood fired the bullet that killed Agent David Milan during the January traffic stop. News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters.
On-Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Well, we're not cooling down too much this evening. The low temperature only dipping to 76. Tomorrow we hit 98 as the high. We have a 40% chance of an afternoon thunderstorm. Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend, a little bit cooler. High temperatures of 94 through Sunday. I'm Cal Moss with your On-Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with a second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Okay, we're back here on Sports Talk Media Network. Thanks to Coach Eric Bakich for being with us from Clemson. Coach Paul Maneri, we are working to get him on with us, and looks like it'll be after the baseball draft before he'll be available to talk with us. So we look forward to having him on to talk about, and not so much about the season past, because I'm sure he don't want to say a whole lot about that, because he's building and his thoughts are all about the future at South Carolina and putting together this new roster and improving things with the Gamecocks. If only Kip Balknight could walk through that door again for South Carolina, Bergie, but I'm afraid Kip Balknight is not walking through that door. Ray Tanner is not walking through that door, but they are walking through the door of the College Baseball Hall of Fame. The first two Gamecocks, did I say baseball? Yeah, College Baseball Hall of Fame. The first two Gamecocks to be selected for the Hall of Fame, which was created back in 2006 by the College Baseball Foundation. We welcome Kip Balknight to Sports Talk once again, and our congratulations to you, sir. Well-deserved, and how does it feel to be going in, especially with your former coach, especially being the first two Gamecocks to go in?
Well, thank you, Phil. I appreciate the kind words, and it's really an amazing feeling, and to be able to go in with Coach Tanner just is icing on the cake. It's he's been a father figure for me for a long time, almost like a second dad. Just when I got the call from Tom Jacobs, the CEO of the College Baseball Foundation, it just I honestly it was indescribable, mixed in just a lot of great emotions, and just first thing I thought of was just all the great teammates I had at South Carolina. There's just absolutely no way that's possible without the amazing teammates I had at South Carolina in my 4 years.
Have you and Coach Tanner spoken since you both were named to the Hall of Fame?
We have, and shared some good memories as we always do, and it's just a really exciting time. And I was sharing some of those memories today. Coach Maneri reached out to me yesterday, and I just was able to get back to him today, and we had a great talk, and of course it led to talks about the future for South Carolina, and just really excited what he's going to be able to do and get done for the Gamecock baseball program.
So, of course, when you're on to talk about being selected for a Hall of Fame, we turn the pages back and talk about your great career. For you, being a homegrown kid from over in West Columbia and coming over to South Carolina and being a part of that first run in the early 2000s that was put together, what was that like for you? What are some of your fondest memories of that time?
Well, God, Phil, I mean, it's just, first I really didn't know if I'd go to South Carolina. I was really more heavily recruited to go to North Carolina or Florida State or Georgia and to be a shortstop. A lot of people don't know this, but I was offered a full ride to go to North Carolina to be a shortstop. And Chad Holbrook was there on staff at the time, and I'll never forget I took my visit there, and Brian Roberts was my host. So, that was obviously neat, and kind of came full circle when he transferred and came over and was my shortstop my sophomore year. And but being a local guy, I always loved the Gamecocks. I always grew up a Gamecock, wanted to be there, and the impact that Coach Tanner and Coach Jim Toman made on me in my high school career was just that's why I came to South Carolina. I got a handwritten letter from Ray Tanner or Jim Toman once a week, every Monday in the mail for 4 straight years while they were at NC State. And then my senior year of high school, when they were having their first year at South Carolina, I knew what was home for me, and it couldn't have worked out any better. I think the most difficult thing was on Friday nights having to make sure I had enough tickets to get all my family in for the games. But I took a lot of pride in it, in trying to win those games. I did everything I could. What I lacked in talent, I made up in my heart and passion for the university and the Gamecocks. And I just, again, I was very blessed with a lot of great teammates. I had a lot of interviews, obviously, in the last couple of days, and I'd love to find someone that had a better shortstop. I had Adam Everett, Brian Roberts, and Drew Meyer, and having that at shortstop, it was amazing, and catchers like Ryan Bordenick and Brandon Pack and Tim Whitaker was amazing. Center fielders like Marcus McBeth. I mean, I can't think, of Mike Curry, my freshman year. I mean, just the list goes on. I mean, we were a great team, and individual accolades come when your team is successful. And a lot of wins went by my name, Phil. But as you know, we had great teams back then, and it was certainly a team effort.
Sure. You're right about that, man. You start reciting some of those names, and it brings back memories of a lot of guys who are in the record books at South Carolina, just like you are. Who do you credit? I mean, somebody had to get you ready as a pitcher to be the kind of pitcher you were. I mean, you weren't a guy that you weren't blowing people away with, 98, 99, right? You had to depend on movement and savvy and placement. Who do you credit for getting you to that point as the best pitcher in college baseball when you hit that point?
Well, it was a process. My dad taught me from an early age that command was very important, and he was a great pitcher, a Hall of Famer actually at Brooklyn Casey High School, and pitched extremely well there, and so I learned a ton from him. And in high school, Coach Paul Shino was a great pitching coach I had at BC High School, and once I got to college, Coach Myers was awesome. I had him for 4 years, and we really worked on mechanics a lot, but just being able to repeat my delivery, and he introduced me to the concept of working quick. That way my infielders and outfielders were on their toes and ready to make plays behind me. I really wasn't a strikeout pitcher. My strikeout numbers were okay, but I had to rely on good defense, and so working quick was very important for me. And my freshman year, I was really a two-pitch pitcher. I was a fastball curveball guy, and had a split that I threw on occasion. And then not till my junior year did I add a slider, and that became a really big pitch for me my junior year. But the biggest thing for me was, Phil, I didn't make excuses. I figured out ways to get it done. And one of the biggest compliments I've ever received is I could win 1-0, but I could also win 6-5. And the best way to be able to do that is to be able to pitch for the name on the front of your jersey and not the back. And I was just a total team player, and I do everything I can now to instill that into my boys. They're 11 and 13, and when you have energy and passion and a desire to win all the time, and that's not just in between the lines on Friday night at 7:00. For me at Sarge Fry Field, it was all the time in practice, in the weight room, in the classroom, off the field, just doing things the right way and just trying to give your team a chance to win. And again, I had so much great support with my teammates. It was just a wonderful ride.
Sure.
Former Gamecock, college baseball Hall of Famer, and clearly a humble guy, Kip Balknight, who wasn't a strikeout pitcher but holds the USC record for strikeouts. So nonetheless, really good at that job. Kip, before we even talk more about your pitching, I'm fascinated. I had not heard the story about how good a shortstop you were. How difficult a decision was that for you to decide to focus solely on pitching as opposed to playing in the infield?
Well, it was really difficult. That's and I tell a lot of people now, if I'd have known then what I know now about a 6-foot righty throwing 88, 90, trying to make it to the big leagues, I may have chosen to go to North Carolina and be a shortstop. I loved hitting. I loved being a shortstop. I was actually the number 1 ranked shortstop my sophomore, junior, and senior year in high school in the state of South Carolina. So I certainly think that could have been a potentially a better path for me professionally. But because I was in the steroid era, I wasn't a guy like Phil mentioned that threw 95, 98. I was a command guy that had to throw, strikes and rely on location and changing speeds. But it was extremely difficult. I enjoyed the times in the minor leagues when I was in Dublin AAA hitting. I think I was a .238 career hitter as a pitcher. So I certainly took that very seriously and worked on hitting as much as I could when I was in the minors. But I think most of my dreams now are still about hitting game-winning home runs and not actually striking guys out. So I definitely miss the hitting part of it.
You are a workhorse on the mound. You hold the school record, 482 innings that you worked during your career at Carolina. And back in 2000, when you won the Golden Spikes Award, you went 17-1. I was curious as to what Cade Anderson's numbers are at LSU this year, probably the best pitcher in the country. He went 12-1 and only appeared in 19 games. Kip, do you like the way college baseball has changed over? It appears that it's gotten much more specialized, especially in your job as a pitcher. Would you have flourished, do you think, as much now as you did back in the early 2000s?
Well, I would like to think I would have been able to have as much success, but I certainly would not have liked getting taken out of the games. I can assure you that. You can ask Coach Tanner. I had many choice words with him and my pitching coach, Coach Myers, when I did come out of the game. When I started a game, I wanted to finish it. And I think that I understand where the game's going, but I also think that there's so many times where I feel like pitching changes are made just because of metrics and things from an analytical perspective on right or left on left or whatever it may be. And I think you have to be able to use your eyes and instincts to be able to make those decisions. So I don't know if I would have been as successful. I know one thing that I think back of my freshman year, we were still facing -5 bats. And I remember my first start in the SEC was against Alabama on a Friday night. And, those guys were, I think, top 3 in the country at the time. And I normally would watch BP with Coach Myers in the dugout before. And after I literally counted 21 home runs in a row that went out of Sarge Fry. So I ran back. I made a quick exit and went back into our locker room in the first base dugout. And he came in and starts blessing me out. Like, what are you doing, Kip? I'm like, I've seen enough. I'm fine. I'm going to go back in there and get focused on what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm tired of watching this.
That is awesome. That is awesome. A few more minutes with Kip Bouknight. We could talk to him all night, but I'm sure he's got things to do. Maybe a pitching lesson with his kids outdoors. Maybe it's cooled off a little bit. What was your best game at South Carolina? Does one game stand out where you were just like, I have got it. They can't touch me tonight. You might not have thrown a no-hitter, but they can't touch me tonight. Can you remember one?
Oh, gosh. So many great memories. I feel like I almost remember the games that I struggled in more because I really focused on those as learning opportunities. And but I do remember my freshman year a couple games in a row. I think it was Alabama and Mississippi State where I think I struck out like 15 and had I think it was 2 straight complete game shutouts. I could be wrong, but I know I threw well into the game. And the Lafayette game was a very memorable one for me in my junior year when we ended up losing to them on Sunday. But that Friday, I think I took a perfect game until like the 7th, and we won that game because I just, as y'all know, or Phil knows certainly, I wore my heart on my sleeves and wanted nothing more than to Omaha, and unfortunately we didn't. But and I think my favorite memory as a pitcher at Carolina was my senior year. We didn't play Clemson on the weekend like they do now for the 3-game series. We just played weekday matchups, and on a Wednesday to literally beg Coach Tanner to get the pitch against them, and I understand. I understood then why, but I came in. It was bases loaded, no outs with a 2-0 count, and I had to face Jeff Baker, Khalil Green, and I think Michael Johnson. So it was three pretty good ones, and ended up getting out of that inning. I think I struck out the side, and came in, and Coach Tanner, after I think the next inning after I came in, we scored about 5 or 6, and we extended the lead, and he tried to take me out, and he lost that battle. So that was a fun battle in the dugout. So I won that one on Coach Tanner. I didn't win many, but I won that one. It was fun.
Well, that was going to be my next question to you. Did you ever win an argument with Coach Tanner? So obviously you did. I mean, what were some of those conversations on the mound like between you and Coach Tanner?
Well, he really didn't come out much on the mound. It was normally Coach Myers. When he came out, I don't know if anybody won the battle, but I know one thing. We both said exactly what we felt and what we wanted to say. And to this day, what I love about Coach Tanner and our relationship is feelings don't matter. It's all about what can we do to win a situation and win. And that's what I loved about him. His competitiveness is just it's unmatched. And and for me, that's how I feel about myself. I just, there's never a time I feel like that I'm going to lose. And we had a lot of great battles, but they were always just awesome battles and just great moments, and moments I'll cherish forever.
Well, I tell you what, Gamecock fans will never forget you, and I don't make it sound like here that you're going away or anything, but Gamecock fans will never forget you, and you got your number on the wall out there in the outfield. You're going into the College Baseball Hall of Fame. What a career. That's all you can say about what you accomplished. What a career.
Thank you, Phil, and I'll never forget university. Coach Maneri and I talked today, for probably an hour. I mean, I just there's nothing more that I love than Gamecock baseball, and would do anything for them, and just love the time I had, and was just very blessed to be able to represent them, and extremely humbled and honored, and I'm really, really excited that Coach Tanner we're going in together. I think that's going to be just a very, very special moment.
No question. We thank you so much. Congratulations once again. Look forward to that night in February when you two are enshrined in the College Baseball Hall of Fame. Look forward to seeing you again somewhere down the road. Thanks for the time tonight.
Thanks, Kip.
Thank you, Phil. Yes, sir. Thank you, Chris. Y'all have a good night.
You too, buddy. All right, there you go. Kip Balknight, indeed, one of the – I just love his attitude. Just love his attitude. Yep. That's playing with your heart and playing with your talent. That's a great combination. You play with your heart and you play with your talent, and you're well coached, and you'll go places. And he was fantastic with those Gamecock baseball teams.
Some of his numbers are just ridiculous. And the 17-1 season that he had in 2000, there's a reason he won the Golden Spikes. I don't know that a pitcher is going to win 17 games ever again in college baseball.
Not the way they are so careful with how they use their pitchers these days. Be right back.
Are you in the market for an auto loan? Move now. Get an auto loan from Founders Federal Credit Union now through October 31st. And you'll be entered to win up to $25,000 toward your qualifying auto loan and a $5,000 deposit into your Loyalty Select account. Loyalty Select is our highest yield savings account. Leave it there to grow or transfer it out to spend. And the best part? We'll be choosing monthly winners. So the earlier you get your auto loan, the more chances you have to win. So don't wait. Visit foundersfcu.com/auto to learn more or begin your auto loan application today. Not a Founders member yet? Visit us online or stop by an office to learn more about Founders and see if you qualify for membership. We have the financial tools you'll need and the personalized service you deserve. Relax, you're with Founders. Terms and conditions apply. Membership qualification required.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Hi, Phil Kornblut here with our good friend George Bryan III. Heard every Friday night on Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps right here on Sports Talk. George, the Tsunami Bar, a very valuable tool for golfers. Why is that?
Well, the first thing that I say is the tempo. It's the only tool out there that allows the study of tension right from the first grab to be expressed, and rhythm and tempo is what makes the bar work, and it gives you something awfully special to keep those hands soft and get that rhythm going.
Learn more about Tsunami Bar technology by clicking on the digital ad on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and save 5% by purchasing online using the promo code BBB5.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
Only one way to follow up an interview with Kip Balknight, and that's by talking about the greatest catering business in all of America. That would be Seawell's. And Seawell's, the family, they do a fantastic job with any event that is put before them to handle the catering side, the cooking, the setup, the cleanup. It's all done. It's a package deal at Seawell's. You need more information for your special event, 803-771-7385, online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. Daily luncheon buffet tomorrow from 11 till 2. Be sure to check that out for only $14. All right, safety, Joel Combe, 6'2", Marietta, Georgia. Talked to Shane Beamer last night. He also talked to coaches from Wisconsin, Tennessee, and Missouri. Those are 4 of his finalists. Georgia is in there as well, but with Georgia already having 3 safeties committed, that might be something working against the Bulldogs here. He has a July 9th commitment date, does not plan to cut the list any more before he makes his announcement. He's looking at a school that can take him to that next level in football and in life. He says the money, the NIL proposals, that won't be a factor because they're all about in the same place. There's another commitment for South Carolina in the 26 class hanging out there. Head coach Shane Beamer put out a commitment alert on Monday night. The Gamecocks have just 8 commitments in the 26 class right now. Only 3 in the heavy recruiting month of June, but they're coming off a recruiting weekend. And Beamer no doubt is hoping that the work done over the weekend will lead to a run of commitments. Paul Strelo, Tiger Illustrated, reported defensive tackle Keyshawn Stansel of Clayton, North Carolina, will announce on Saturday. He was at NC State over the weekend. The Wolfpack appears to be strong with him as well. He also visited Georgia, Miami, Penn State. As we talked about earlier, well, this is a different player, but the same concept. Steve Wiltfong, Chad Simmons of On3 are predicting safety Blake Stewart to Clemson when he announces on July 13th. Michigan appears to be a strong contender for South Carolina target. Defensive end Julian Walker of Dutch Fork coming off his official visit based on interviews he gave to Rivals and 24/7 Sports. He also took OVs to North Carolina and NC State. Of course, South Carolina, he's been there numerous times with his dad being a part of the strength staff. Plans to take an official there later on in the year. One-time Clemson target, offensive tackle Dalton Toothman, committed to Mississippi State. 27 quarterback Jace Johnson of Valdosta, Georgia, plans to announce August 3rd. He has USC, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Florida State, and Mississippi State as his top 5 choices. South Carolina gets a commitment from Louisiana outfielder Luke Uhas as he transfers to South Carolina. He hit .320, 6 homers in 38 games this past season. And Coastal Carolina pitcher Cullen McKay entering the transfer portal, John. We'll be right back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Well, we're not cooling down too much this evening. The low temperature only dipping to 76. Tomorrow we hit 98 as the high. We have a 40% chance of an afternoon thunderstorm. Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend, a little bit cooler. High temperatures of 94 through Sunday. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
The Point.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Extensive triple-digit heat, broken temperature records, and oppressive humidity piled up into a steaming mess as the heat dome crushing the eastern half of the nation sizzled to what should be its worst Tuesday. New York City's John F. Kennedy Airport hit 100 degrees a little after noon, and it's the first time since 2013. Then Baltimore, Washington, Philadelphia, and Boston joined the 100-degree club. More than 150 million people woke up to heat warnings, and forecasters at the National Weather Service expected dozens of places to tie or set new daily high temperature records Tuesday. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 507 points. The Nasdaq rose 281. More details at srnnews.com.
Hey, this is Kev with my good friend Ken from over at Broker Solar, and he really is a good friend. I've known Ken's family for more than 20 years. All right, so how many people lost power for an extended time back when we had that hurricane come through here, right? You got the solution, though, Ken, the solar-powered batteries.
The battery with solar system is essential. Not only can you back up your loads in an emergency event like a power outage, but you can also control the peak times that you use power, and the batteries can kick in to supplement your power usage. With our solar batteries, you can back up the home just like a generator would, but run it off the clean energy from the sun, which we get every single day. So no need to refill the gas, propane tanks, all powered by the sun.
Remember, Broker Solar is local. You make the call, the investment is worth it. How do the Point listeners find you over at Broker Solar, Ken?
The best way is going to be through brokersolar.com. Plenty of contact us buttons, but the phone number to reach us at would be 803-807-7417.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of guns and ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking, our clothing and outdoor gear collection has got you covered. We also feature an exceptional indoor range facility where you can experience the thrill of shooting in a safe and controlled environment. Visit us today at PalmettoStateArmory.com or your local retail store. Palmetto State Armory, American made for life.
It's painting season in the Midlands, and Southern Palmetto Painting and Renovation sets the tone for inspired living. Watch your home change from ordinary to outstanding with colors that liven every wall and craftsmanship you can trust. Michael and his team are fully licensed, bonded, and insured. They care for every detail inside and out of your home. Let's give your home the style and care it deserves. Call 922-5615. Southern Palmetto Painting and Renovations, where every project reflects pride.
How does a car repair shop last in business for over 50 years like Sudeth Automotive? By providing affordable, reliable, and honest auto repair. But if you ask them, they'll tell you it's their loyal customers who come back time and time again to entrust them with their car repairs. Well-trained technicians, service packages, and monthly specials. Isn't it time you become a customer? Call or come by at 1410 North Millwood Avenue or make an appointment at SudethAuto.com.
What's better than getting the best Wagyu and Hereford beef anywhere in these parts and getting it delivered to your door? How about knowing you're still supporting local farmers in Saluda over at H&J Cattle, where tradition meets quality? Visit HandJCattle.com. place your order for $50 or more, get free delivery in Richland or Lexington County. Plus, Point listeners get 10% off your order. Enter keyword The Point as one word for your discount. HandJCattle.com.
Okay, it's the dog days of summer for baseball and NASCAR. You just got to grunt through it and make the best of it and be standing at the end if you're a competitor in the NASCAR Cup Series as the races are clicking off, and we're getting to that first playoff race coming up Labor Day weekend at Darlington, which is going to be, let's see, where are we at now? It's the 24th. Add another week, July, about 2 months away. 2 months away, we'll be into a playoff mode at Darlington. This past weekend, it was Pocono. It was Chase Briscoe leading 72 laps, getting the win by not quite a second. Had a pretty good margin over Denny Hamlin, then Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher. And there's Chase Elliott again. He ain't winning, but he ain't losing. He's finishing in like the top 10, top 5 every week. Let's welcome in Josh Harris, president of Darlington. Okay, what'd you think of the Pocono event? Pretty typical for that racetrack, or you see anything different?
No, I thought it was a pretty typical Pocono race. You know, one of the most unique tracks on the circuit, 2.5 miles, a little bit more of a flat corner, especially turns 2 and 3. And, you know, cars tend to get strung out. You end up with strategy similar to a road course sometimes because most of the guys can pit under green and not lose a lap. So all in all, I thought it was a good race. The leader never got out too far ahead, and there was some interesting strategy that played out. And it's good to see Chase Briscoe, who was our defending Cookout Southern 500 winner at Darlington, get his first win since he's moved over to the Joe Gibbs Racing team, that number 19 team. So good to see Chase lock himself in to the playoffs, and now he'll be coming to Darlington ready to go. You know, last year we were the regular season finale, and he won kind of walk-off style to make the playoffs. So he got it about 10 weeks earlier this year.
Yeah, I'm wondering, you know, you track presidents. Do you have a particular closer relationship with guys who win at your track than, say, everybody else? And I bring this up asking about Chase Briscoe. Did you get to know him a little bit more? Have you had more of an exchange with him since he won at Darlington in the Southern 500 last year? Does that happen with track presidents and race winners?
Yeah, I mean, it varies for sure. Certainly after the races in Victory Lane, the opportunity with our entitlement sponsors to present the trophy and congratulate them there with the crowd that's in Victory Lane. It gives, you know, our track presidents a chance to talk with them a little bit, congratulate them, develop a little bit of a relationship, but also, you know, especially this year as the drivers have a program that kind of gives them incentives to come out into the race markets and do things with us. You know, we really get to spend time with them there. So earlier this year when I was out at Fort Jackson with Josh Berry, spending, you know, about 4 to 5 hours with Josh, you know, that really helps build some of those relationships with the drivers. So always appreciate those opportunities. It gives me a great appreciation for them and what they do, and it always is nice. You know, if we ever need anything, that I can walk up to them, say hello, and they might recognize, you know, oh yeah, that's Josh. He helped us out. He got us out here, and maybe they'll turn around and help us. So.
Josh Harris from Darlington Raceway with us here tonight on Sports Talk for his Tuesday visit. I think one of the more unique and interesting things from the weekend at Pocono, Josh, was the Xfinity race and having Dale Earnhardt Jr. sitting on top of the pit box and somehow finds a way to guide his team to victory lane as he fills in for Marty Lindley, who was suspended one race after a couple of loose lug nuts were found on the car in Nashville. First off, logistically, clearly Dale Earnhardt Jr. knows about driving a race car and probably learned a lot from Steve Letarte and everybody else around him to be a crew chief, but how much did he actually make decisions, and how much maybe did Marty help him a little bit, and how much did Steve Letarte and some of these other guys? How do you think that worked out and played out for Dale sitting on top of the pit box for a change?
Well, I think it's certainly a team effort, and Marty, while he couldn't be there at the race, inside the track area, I'm sure he was able to help, especially all throughout their planning process during the week. And Dale mentioned, talking to Steve Letarte and some others. They have a great team environment there, but ultimately there is someone that's got to be on that headset, that's got to, relay some of that information back and forth to the driver, make the call on, okay, we are going to come pit this time. And what was interesting is in the Xfinity Series, the crew chief is actually down there catching one of the tires coming off the car. And I think Dale was most nervous about that part of being a crew chief compared to anything else. But great effort by Connor getting that win. Dale Jr. is now he's been a champion in the Xfinity Series. He's obviously a race winner in the Xfinity Series, team owner, now crew chief winner. So he's kind of done it all, and maybe he'll just retire from crew chiefing with a 1-for-1 record.
Well,
Listen,
Josh, I think it.
I was going to say, nobody is surprised that Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s team won Saturday with Dale on the box as the crew chief. I mean, come on, we know how these things kind of happen in NASCAR. Okay, these coincidences have happened way too many times for people not to think that we knew. Dale Earnhardt's team could have been driving a tractor and they were going to win that race, okay?
I think that's fair.
That's a no comment. That's a no comment from Josh right there. Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
I was going to let Chris go ahead.
Well, I appreciate that, Josh. No, but I think it brings up an interesting question, though. Why don't we see more former drivers turn into crew chiefs? I mean, we see plenty of professional athletes, or at least collegiate athletes who maybe can't make it to the pros, decide they want to become coaches and go up through the assistant ranks and certainly become a head coach. Why does that not happen more often? Why say Jimmy Johnson, as successful as he was as a driver, why not migrate up to a crew chief to be able to stay involved in the sport?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good one. I don't know that there's any one answer. I think part of it is, these guys, sometimes the reason they step out of the car is they want to break from the travel required on a week-to-week basis that comes along, especially in the Cup Series, but even the Xfinity Series, running 33 races a year compared to the Cup at 36, so it's not that much different. I think that's part of it, and I think as the position of crew chief has evolved over the years, especially probably in the last 20 years, and it's as much of a kind of a leadership role, a engineering role, someone that certainly needs to have a kind of a wide skill set, whereas the driver's been focused on being behind the wheel. I just think part of it is just different skill sets and the desire when these guys do step out of the car, they kind of want to have a little bit of a normal schedule. You see guys like Dale Jr. even with his ownership of the Xfinity Series team, he's getting a little bit involved in broadcast. You got Carl Edwards back now doing a little bit of broadcasting, but I don't know that any of these guys want to jump immediately into a role where they've got to be back on the road, 37, 38 weeks a year.
With that in mind, like Major League Baseball or NBA, for example, they play so many games, they travel so much, and sometimes guys are put down to have a night off. It's disappointment to the fans. Let's say if Aaron Judge, you buy a ticket to see the Yankees play. Well, Aaron Judge we're giving him a night off because he's played, 70 consecutive games. We're giving him a night off, blah, 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 blah. And so the wear and tear on a long season on these race car drivers, I mean, any thought of NASCAR looking at a situation where, maybe one time a year you give your primary driver the weekend off. Maybe you elevate somebody from your Xfinity organization. You put that guy in the car and give the – or is that too much of a hit on NASCAR and the star system to sit a guy down?
Yeah, I mean, that's possible, but I really think it comes down to these drivers. They love to race, and they're not looking for reasons to get out of the car or to skip a race. Most of these drivers don't want to even think about somebody else taking their ride, because what if somebody else gets in there and performs better in someone's eye? Then they've got to deal with that. So I think these guys know that the 36 chartered teams, the rides that are out there, those are so coveted that once you get one, you're not going to want to give it up on your own. And while the season is long, 36, 38 weeks, a lot of travel, I don't think any of them would trade it for, just taking a week off. From a promoter standpoint, I mean, that would be tough for us. It's kind of like the NFL. You only play a certain number of weeks, and even for our sport, some tracks only even get the drivers, come once to their track if you only have one race a year. Thinking about like Pocono last week. So if that happens, and a guy is a star in our sport, Kyle Larson decides, this is the week I'm going to take off, there's a lot of fans that will buy tickets and be disappointed. So that would be tough to deal with as a promoter. And, we want those guys strapped in there, and I think they want to be behind that wheel every week that they can.
Sure. And just a crazy thought. So folks might not be aware, but it is Atlanta this weekend. It's not called Atlanta anymore. It's still in Hampton, Georgia, Echo Park Speedway. It's the Quaker State 400 available at Walmart at Echo Park Speedway. Should there be a limit as to how many letters you can use in the title of your race? I mean, really.
Well, I'm not one that can talk. When we love our partnership with Sport Clips, and they've been a long-time partner on our Xfinity race, and it's the Sport Clips Haircuts VFW Help a Hero 200 at Darlington Raceway. So in the spring, I've got a mouthful to remember for that race, and so I'm not one that's gonna criticize or go down that path. But I will say, coming up Labor Day weekend, I'm so excited. We've got the Sober or Slammer 200 NASCAR Craftsman Xfinity race, that truck series race. The Sober or Slammer 200 rolls right off the tongue, a lot easier, a lot quicker. So I'll enjoy promoting that one over the next few months.
Absolutely. One last thing, we'll let you go before we sell some tickets. I mean, we can expect another. I mean, Atlanta with their reconfiguration a few years ago. I mean, it has become maybe the hottest track on the circuit for close finishes. Would you expect something like that again this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a phenomenal race. That track, since they reconfigured it to run more like a super speedway, but the asphalt has quickly aged. Atlanta, just like us, goes through a lot of changes with heat, hot weather, cold weather. That asphalt, that pavement has aged, becomes much more of a handling race, and I think it's going to set up for great action this weekend, running Friday night, Saturday night with like you said, the Quaker State 400. Sets up for hopefully a great finish again. They had a great finish there last year in the spring. Some great races since they did the reconfiguration. As a fan of the sport, it's one that I look forward to watching on Saturday night.
Absolutely. And for folks who want to get to Darlington for the Labor Day spectacular event, the first playoff race, and everything else going on that weekend, what should they do? How do they get their hands on those tickets?
Yeah, you mentioned it earlier. We're just over 2 months, about 9 weeks away from the Cookout Southern 500 Labor Day weekend. It's kind of the capstone of our 75th anniversary season celebration. So looking forward to it. Tickets are available at darlingtonraceway.com. Go in there. We got kids 12 and under are $10 on Saturday. They're free on Saturday. $10 on Sunday. They're free on Saturday. Family packages, military, first responder offers. So great ways to go out and see the stars of NASCAR kick off the playoffs on both series. darlingtonraceway.com or call us at 866-459-RACE.
We thank you as always. Have a great rest of your week. Boy, I bet you, have you walked on the track the last couple of days? I mean, what is the heat effect on the track like right now this week?
Oh, it is so hot. I mean, our guys have been out scraping walls, getting ready to paint them, and they've had to just get out there early in the morning and work till about 10 a.m., and then they got to go find something else to do. It's so hot. So appreciate the work that all those guys do getting this facility ready. And like I said, it's going to be here before we know it.
Well, we appreciate you, and thanks for being with us. Have a great week.
Thanks,
Talk
Josh.
to you next week.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Josh Harris.
I
What do you
will
think?
recommend if you have kids who are trying to become race car fans, the race you need to take them to is the trucks at Darlington. Phenomenal race. They put on a great show every year. Plus, as he pointed out, young kids get in for free. That's a perfect race to take young race fans to because it's not real long and they put on a heck of a show.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll be back in just a moment.
Now through May 31st, 2025, buy the house now, reset your rate later with Mortgage Reset from Founders Federal Credit Union. Open a new mortgage or refinance an existing mortgage and get the lowest rate you qualify for now. Set up direct deposit and then you can reset your rate once for free at any time rates drop. That's right, at any time during the life of the loan, you can reset your
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
My diamonds came from dirt. The more I love you, the less I hurt. Now my pen can't find the words. I wrote songs about sinning, evil women, pills, and cars. I wrote songs about drinking.
Well, thanks to all our guests tonight. They have just been off the charts. Chris Dorsey and Kip Balknight and Eric Bakich, Josh Harris. I'm telling you, man, I love talking to each and every one of them. We'll have more great guests hopefully for you tomorrow night. Going to try and get Chris Benson lined up for you tomorrow night as well, get his thoughts about going in the College Baseball Hall of Fame, plus some other good stuff. I'll tell you what, we got a few minutes here. How about we check out the always intriguing world of the NIL?
As the NIL churns,
Sports Talk Orchestra did a great job with that theme music. Let's take a look at a few things. South Carolina's legislature. Did you know this? Mitt
Not until
Winter.
earlier today.
Mitt Winter, who I follow, guy's really good on the NIL stuff. South Carolina's legislature inserted a clause into the recent state budget intended to force the High School Athletics Association, that's the South Carolina High School League, to prohibit high school athletes from receiving NIL money. But says here, the High School Association says it can only prohibit athletes from earning compensation for their sport. Can you explain that? You understand any of that?
My guess is the South Carolina High School League only legislates, to borrow their term, legislates high school athletics. So it can't tell, Lenore Sellers, when he was at South Florence, that he can't go out and earn money elsewhere. He just can't earn money for playing football for South Florence is
Yeah.
how I read this. But I don't understand why the legislature wants to prohibit the high school athletes from receiving NIL. Every other state in the union is doing this. Why would we penalize our students?
Well, kind of agree with them. I mean, let's don't turn our high school athletes into, I don't want to use a bad word. Let's just don't turn our high school athletes into money grubbers. Let's let them go to high school and get an education and play scholastic sports for what they're supposed to be. There's time to make money. We've gone insane over people having to make money about the time they get out of kindergarten. I mean, I'm waiting to see the first 6-year-old to sign a $10 million NIL deal with somebody. I'm serious.
Yeah,
We've gotten so crazy. All right, another one. Another new eligibility rules lawsuit has been filed against the NCAA in federal court in Nebraska. This one is by UNLV football player Jackson Haas. He's challenging the NCAA's 5-year eligibility clock rule and other rules that count JUCO seasons as a season of D1 competition. I thought we'd already crossed that bridge. Huh?
I thought so too.
Yeah, maybe not.
I'm sorry, you played collegiately. Whether it's a junior college, Division II or Division I, you played collegiately. And that's when your clock starts, when you start playing. I don't understand why they can't. I know why they're challenging this, because they want, it's money based. But the NCAA, this is one they actually should win, but they won't.
Well, they've already lost it though, right? Padilla, that was his case, right?
Yeah.
At Vanderbilt. And of course, still nothing in on Rasul Faison for South Carolina. I mean, what in the world is taking so long for the NCAA to rule on that? I mean, seriously, they've had this case for months, and here it is.
In South Carolina, and not at Alabama.
Well, that's a shame.
I think that's the only explanation. Is he does not play at a more high-profile. Despite the fact the Gamecocks are in the SEC, he does not play at one of the blue bloods of college football, and that's why this is taking so long. It's on the back burner.
Looking forward to seeing how this plays out. The Wisconsin versus Miami lawsuit might play a big role in how the post-house college athletics model operates. It could set a precedent that tampering is against the law, not just NCAA rules, or that it's not. This is, again, from Mitt Winter. Of course, you know that Wisconsin is claiming that Miami tampered with one of their players, not a recruit. I think one of their players tampered with him before he went into the portal, John, and I guess had a deal done. Miami denies it, of course. This is going to go to court. That should be fun. This will be fun. North Carolina will pay revenue share money to athletes in 4 sports: men's and women's basketball, football, and baseball. It also will increase the number of athletic scholarships from 338 to 532. This is coming from the University of North Carolina.
And this is going to be fascinating to watch, Phil, because much like Stanford, North Carolina's got a lot of Olympic sports that are really, really good. Field hockey, women's soccer. A lot of their sports that don't get a whole lot of coverage are really, really good. And I'm going to be fascinated to watch to see how they pull this off when they're only going to pay 4 sports.
Yep, absolutely. New Michigan bill would ban schools from complying with NIL investigations and prohibit requiring the reporting of NIL deals to Deloitte. Civil remedies are available for violations. Okay, that's another one. The Florida Board of Governors passed an amendment allowing Florida State and other state schools to direct $22.5 million in auxiliary dollars per year to athletics. This money will be used to cover revenue sharing with the athletes as part of the House settlement. So is that 22.5 on top of the 20.5?
It goes on to say that this will allow Florida State to fully fund the new revenue sharing cap. So I don't believe so.
Okay. All right. Here's one more. It's a little bit old, but I haven't mentioned it yet. The House settlement allocates $2.5 billion to men. Oh, this will be fun. $2.5 billion to men, $102 million to women. So the attorney said this significant disparity constitutes a violation of Title IX. Oh, boy. That'll be another one to be chewed on for a while. As the NIL churns. That'll do it for tonight. Thank you, Chris. Thank you,
Yes,
Plummer.
sir.
Thank you, everybody, for being with us. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.